Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Oh boy, do I have a good one for you today. Well, actually, I have two good ones for you today, because it's a nightmare trying to find a World of Tanks battle these days that lasts longer than 6 minutes. And while it is true that one of these two battles is a lot better than the other one, they are both still good. I'll leave it up to you to decide which is which. Don't worry, it won't be hard. Actually, that sounds way harsher than it is. They are both good. It's just one of them is really good. Anyway, let's get on with it. This is Irames in the Japanese Tier 7 medium tank, the Churi. The Churi, and I'm probably being generous here, is kind of crap. I mean, it's a medium tank, but it's bigger than most heavy tanks. It definitely does not have heavy tank armour. In fact, it barely qualifies as having medium tank armour, which is kind of bizarre because it doesn't have medium tank mobility either. It's definitely on the pedestrian side, even by medium tank standards. It's armed with a 75mm 3-shot autoloader, except it doesn't have... I mean, it's a 75mm gun on a Tier 7 medium, and it's got, like, Tier 5 75mm gun performance. Its only saving grace is the 3-shot autoloader, except because it's like Tier 5 75mm gun, even with 3 shots, it doesn't have the burst damage to kill anything, and it reloads just a little bit too slowly to be able to brawl with it. This tank is basically the perfect storm of meh. It's even debatable whether or not the 3-shot autoloader is the best gun for this tank, because, well, upgrading from the initial 75mm gun, you get a choice of the 3-shot autoloader, or the non-3-shot autoloader upgraded 75mm gun. And they both have exactly the same penetration, fire exactly the same ammunition, do exactly the same lousy 130 damage per shot, have the same accuracy, the same aiming time, weigh the same amount, but the autoloader has a worse rate of fire. It's like 15 rounds per minute with the autoloader, or 16.67 rounds per minute with the non-autoloader. I suppose the only real benefit of going for the autoloader is at least you've got that burst damage of 390. Yeah, this is just not a very good tank. As we've already covered, the armour is absolutely terrible, but hey, a knocked out M6 Heavy does make for remarkably effective improvised frontal armour. Well, anyway, we're going to cut to the chase and skip ahead, because up until about this point, Irames has fired a whole bunch of shots and hit mostly nothing. Right up until the point where a sneaky enemy 5916 has slipped into the base and is starting to cap it. The only potential problem is that there is a super Hellcat between him and the base. Fortunately, the super Hellcat is dumb enough to have loaded high explosive. I mean, the Churi's armour is bad, but it's not that bad. And the Super Hellcat's armour isn't going to stop even the terrible 155mm of penetration on the Churi's 75mm gun. But just think about this for a second. The Churi's gun is so bad that even if it had 2 full reloads and penetrated, which it should on a Super Hellcat, with every shot that it fired, it still probably wouldn't be enough to kill a full health Super Hellcat that only has 800 hit points to begin with. There's the 5916. Spotted by the T-32, who unfortunately only had 63 health and somehow managed to get penetrated by a 5916. It's probably the one tank in this battle that has a worse gun even than the Churi. There's barely seconds left to get the decap off. Pay attention to the capture timer at the top of the screen. Did you see how close that was? Watch. 1 second. In fact, it was so tight I wasn't even sure it was 1 second until I slowed it down and zoomed in. And I didn't know for sure whether or not the enemy team had won by capping until I physically saw the capture timer reset. That's how close it was. It's also the reason why I didn't bother going for the reload, because he didn't know for sure whether or not he would have reloaded in time to get the shot off. Which meant he only had the 1 shot, so it absolutely definitely had to hit. Even if he had reloaded, 1 shot was all he was going to get. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but at the time, they were also simultaneously capping out the enemy base. And they came to within 5 seconds of capping out themselves before the friendly tank in the enemy cap got reset and eventually destroyed. Anyway, it's now 5 against 3. Unfortunately, the 3 are a Ferdinand, an E25, and an SU-152. And yeah, that's an impressive combination. The E25, of course, is going to be the biggest problem. I mean, he's absolutely wrecking him. Iramez knows exactly where he is, of course. He's in that bush. But, well, he's using the bush intelligently and can't be seen when firing through it. The TS5 has managed to take out the Ferdinand. It's just the E25 left. Unfortunately, it's just the E25 left, and he's busy wrecking the TS5. The good news here is that the TS5 did at least spot the E25 who killed him. The bad news is that Iramez now has to try to kill him with the Cherise gun. But hey, I guess even a broken clock tells the right time twice a day. And so while that was absolutely a team effort, it was still Iramez, the one pulling off the clutch, not once but twice in the same Tier 8 battle, while having the extreme misfortune to be driving the same utterly terrible Tier 7 Japanese medium tank. And now for today's main event. This is... They're just doing this on purpose now, aren't they? Unusual 1L2, whatever. Dave, welcome back. Long time no see. Look, it's not my fault, alright? If you want me to get your name right, give me a name I can pronounce. Anyway, Dave is in the Leopard 1, German Tier 10 medium tank. This is a great tank, although it definitely requires some skill to get the most out of it. It has amazing speed and mobility. I mean, it's as fast as the Batchat 25T. It turns better than the Batchat 25T, although it's not quite as quick to accelerate. Its 105mm gun is absolutely outstanding. It's got the best standard penetration of any medium tank with 420 alpha damage. It's above average for a 105mm gun. It's the most accurate medium tank gun in the game, with good gun depression and a lightning fast 1.7 second aiming time. Basically, if you need to bring the firepower anywhere on the map at short notice, the Leopard 1 is the tank of choice. The only downside is the armour. It basically doesn't have any. It's theoretically possible for the Leopard 1 to lose a gunfight in a Tier 1 battle. That's how bad the armour is. And this terrible armour is actually, for a change, pretty accurate, because the Leopard 1 was designed at a time when the general consensus of opinion was that it didn't matter how much armour you put on the tank. The only thing you were achieving was slowing it down, because there was a shaped charge warhead out there that could beat the thickest armour on any tank. And so those sneaky Germans gave the Leopard 1 just enough armour that they could still legitimately call it a tank, and focused their efforts on the firepower and the mobility, and did an amazing job of it. He's trying to finish off the Death Star, whose gun is loaded and pointed in this direction, but is currently being distracted by the presence of the, let's call it a chieftain. And that's the only opportunity he needed. He's got him. There's his first kill. It's actually the first kill in the battle. He's already over 1,000 damage. Well over 1,000 damage. Yeah, that terrible armour. I mean, that was 232 splash damage. It was aimed at and hit the IS-7. You don't want to get hit by artillery in this thing. Very, very bad things happen. Although, this is something that not everybody realises about the Leopard 1. As well as this amazing mobility and great firepower. Oh, he could have done without that. 782 damage? Yikes. But getting hit by artillery is bad. And a lot of the time when a tank gets hit by artillery, because the splash damage spreads out all over the tank, it can damage the engine or the transmission, which can set a lot of tanks on fire, but not really the Leopard 1. Because it ties with some of the Swedish S tanks for the lowest chance of fire on hit in the game. Only 10%. It also has outstanding view range, 410 metres. There's a lot to like about this tank, and the only thing to not like is the, well, just absolutely god-awful armour. I mean, theoretically, if you're angled like this, and a shot comes in from the front and hits the upper glacis, it can bounce, but it's never something you should rely on. And Leopard 1 drivers, successful Leopard 1 drivers, very quickly learn to never rely on their armour. Speed and mobility are the Leopard 1's armour substitutes, and good Leopard 1 drivers very quickly learn to use that instead. And Dave, paying attention to the minimap and realising that right up there in the northern end of the map there is trouble brewing, and there's more than enough friendly tanks down here to the south, is putting that speed and mobility to very, very good use. Coming to the aid of the Object 261, and that is not a decision he is going to regret later in this battle. Spoiler alert. Top speed of 70 kilometers per hour. Obviously it slows down when it drives through buildings, and the reason he's doing that is because he wants to clear the line of fire down this valley for later on, in case he needs it. Also, it looks cool as all hell. Coming to the aid of the friendly Death Star. Also something that he is not going to regret later on during the course of this battle. Yet another spoiler alert. Oh, one of those rare occasions you'll ever see a Leopard firing at something and not actually hitting it. That was unfortunate. And he did of course get detected. That's even more unfortunate. Like I said, it is a relatively large medium tank. Yeah, that's more like it. But it has an excellent camo rating. EBR to the rescue there. Oh yes, his team are the only ones with an EBR. Well, okay, yeah, we might as well stop now, because as we all know, the team with the most EBRs is always the one that wins. Kill number 2. And the EBR is still alive, so technically the team are still winning despite being behind by 1 kill. Now then, where did that Object 277 go? Nope, not around that corner. I mean, to be fair to the Object 277, he knows that there's an EBR around, so it would be perfectly understandable if he was running for the other side of the map. But maybe he isn't. Let us find out. Creeping forward to the next spotting position. Yep, there he is. Now, this is a very, very good gun, but that is not a fight you want to get into. Not taking on an Object 277 from the front. Because you might penetrate him, but he will penetrate you with every shot he fires. So instead, Dave is doing the smart thing. Why fight him alone when you don't have to? Sucker him back around the corner so he can be hit by artillery and the Death Star. And in fact, he is being hit by the artillery. But oh, hang on a minute. Looks like the EBR is circling around behind him. Alright, 2 on 1. That sounds about as unfair as you can reasonably expect. Unfortunately, the object was paying attention and he has killed the EBR. Equally unfortunately, that shot failed to get through the spaced armour. And now the team have lost their EBR, so they are no longer guaranteed to win. Now, artillery has been given good support, but it's going to take more than the artillery. It'd be cool if the Death Star can be persuaded to join the fight. And to be fair, it looks like he is trying to move to a position where he can do just that. Yes, there it is. You see, all you have to do is give your team something to shoot at. And most of the time, admittedly not always, but most of the time they will be only too happy to oblige. It is of course on you to reciprocate. If there's a threat to them, and you can do something about it, like the Manticore over there, or you could, finish off the Object 277. Not with that shot though. He's been immobilised. Wait for him to fix his tracks. There we go. Oh, didn't finish him off, but well, he's caught in the open. Actually, you probably can finish him off. Oof, wow. Holy shit. Wait, did you see that? That's the mythical Leopard 1 upper frontal plate bounce in action. It does actually happen every now and then. Of course, then he just got blathered by artillery. So, yeah. But the good news is that, thanks to his help, the Manticore's dead. So that's the immediate threat to the two surviving Death Stars taken care of, and it's now a 4-on-4. With Dave, the two Death Stars, one of whom just received a massive bitch slapping, so now it's Dave and the one Death Star, plus the artillery, against two enemy tier 10 tank destroyers, the Foch 155, the T110E3, and that's going to be a bit of a problem, as well as an E100 and the enemy artillery. So this is going to require some teamwork. But that's alright, because teamwork is what Dave, that Death Star, and the Object 261 are made of. Exploiting the Leopard's insanely good mobility to get around into a flanking position when those two TDs push to try to finish off the Death Star. Because of course they have no idea where Dave is. Yep. Oh no, Dave, no. I mean, you know, great aiming time, great gun handling and all that, but you had the time to aim that one properly. Let's just hope the Death Star doesn't pay the price for your impatience. I mean, you know, there's a lot of pressure on him. It's understandable. But it is still very regrettable. The Foch 155 is going after him, and it's the one thing that the enemy team have that might actually be able to catch him. Well, it's not going to catch him, but it's fast enough to get into a firing position before he can get into cover. 261 again, proven to be an utter rock star of a teammate. Death Star holding the pass alone. Oh, the Foch did see him. He was about to pop out behind the rock and see if he could take a shot. Decided that was a very bad idea, because it was. It looks like enemy artillery is focusing on the Death Star for now. Alright. So how can you help the Death Star? Artillery's doing his part. You need to get into a firing position. Oh, that was unlucky. Okay. Well, the 261 was doing an amazing job. Unfortunately, he got spotted. He's dead. It's now 2 against 4. The Death Star is basically holding off 2 tier 10 tank destroyers by himself. Dave's looking for a firing spot. He's not finding one. Either of those guys hit him and it's game over. But he has to help the Death Star. So, it looks like the two TDs are kind of looking at each other saying, well, go on then. Your turn. Oh wait, no, here they come. So where's the Foch 155? Is he trying to sneak around? He's probably trying to sneak around. I mean, he has the frontal armour that he can, and he has enough health, I think, that he can afford to take a hit from you. You cannot afford to take a hit from him. Dave, if he's sneaking around, the Death Star is dead. You need to do something, and you need to do it now. He's looking for him. He could already be around there. Yeah, he is. Dave, you don't have time. You don't have time to do anything fancy. You need to take him out, and you need to do it now. There's one hit. Death Star can't take another one. Okay, good. Now the Death Star only has to worry about the E3, but the E3 has to worry about the Death Star too. They're both one-shot kills for each other. However, you don't want to get shot at by the E3, because you'll die. And the Death Star cannot afford to take another artillery hit at this moment, so he needs to go unspotted. But you can shoot over the top if you get enough elevation. And you can, and you've got him. Oh, and there's the E100. I was wondering what was taking him so long. It looks like he circled all the way around in an E100. That's what kept him. Oh well, he's dead now as well. And that's the Top Gun, which is nice. Oh, did get spotted though. Yeah, drive into the shelter of the rock, because there is still artillery left. Actually, I'll tell you something else. There's only 2.5 minutes of this battle remaining. It's at this point where lesser teams would be yelling, no cap, kill all. I mean, there's just one artillery left. But this is not a small map. And nobody has the faintest idea where he is. Fortunately, Dave's in a Leopard. 70 kilometers an hour, straight for the enemy cap. The only question is it going to be fast enough? I mean, a Leopard is fast enough to get to the cap from anywhere on the map in 2.5 minutes. However, it is not fast enough. It looks like, yep, 10 seconds too short. And the length of time it's going to take him to cap out, the match will have been over for 10 seconds. So he needs the appropriately named Irish Lightning over there in the Death Star to get here too. Unfortunately, while the Death Star is many things, fast is not one of them. I mean, it's not particularly slow, but it's not a Leopard 1. And this last stretch is uphill. And he's got less than a minute to do it. Come on, Irish, my son. You can do it. Maybe. I think. I hope. I honestly don't know. It's going to be really, really tight. Oh, he's so close, but so far. 30 seconds to go. I mean, he's given it everything he's got. He just doesn't have a lot to give. Come on. 20 seconds. Is it going to be enough? Yes. They're going to make it with seconds to spare. Unless the Object 261 hits one of them. Ooh. Yay, there it is. And, yep, day late, dollar short. Nice try. But they made it with 2, maybe 3 seconds to spare. So, a couple of things to take away from that one. First, obviously, extremely well done for the teamwork displayed, not just by Dave, but also the Death Star and the Object 261 artillery. Second, that was only worth a first-class mastery badge in the Leopard 1. That was not an ace tanker. Third, and this is probably the most significant one, because this would have been a defeat without that Object 261, and yet he finished last on the team for experience earned. Without him, this would have been a defeat. He did more damage than the next 3 lowest scoring members of the team combined, but has exactly the same amount of experience as a reward as the 121 who did 0 damage. Wargaming? What the fuck? I mean, I know you hate artillery now, but what the fuck? Also, Dave lost money on this battle, and if he did with more than 1100 base experience, that means that probably everybody else did too. Because even though he did extremely well, he did extremely well in the tier 10 tank without the benefit of a premium account, so of course he lost money. That unfortunately is just the reality of playing World of Tanks at tier 10 without a premium account. Nevertheless, despite all of that, he did do extremely well. It was a great team effort, and I hope you all enjoyed watching it, because that's it for today. As always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.